So Chantelle, thank you so much for being a part of our community, your practice channel here on YouTube. And on behalf of SETSI, we greatly appreciate you and we thank you for your leadership today.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you too.
Awesome. So as always, we begin by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So if you can please do us the honors by introducing yourself to our listeners and viewers and tell us about your amazing work.
Thank you, Matt. Before I get started, I just want to thank you so much. You, Victor, and the team at SETSI are doing some really incredible work. And the way you lift up voices from all across various sectors and the people doing good work, I just want to give big thank you to all of you. So I'm Chantelle Moore. I am the manager of social impact for Gore Mutual Insurance. I have been here for about 3 years and started my career prior to joining Gore Mutual in the nonprofit sector. Really, that was the focus of all my work before joining Gore, starting off at Sick Kids Foundation. I was lucky enough to be a receptionist, and someone saw something in me and gave me an opportunity to grow there and spent 8.5 years really kind of honing my skills, primarily in corporate philanthropy, and really found a calling for me to kind of dive into this really incredible work of working with people and leaders inside corporate Canada to drive real change. And so that was a really formidable experience, and then took a deep need, I felt, to support work that was happening internationally. And that brought me to Plan International, where I also led their corporate partnerships and found a deep calling seeing what was happening around the world, but then also realizing this was happening in my hometown, which is Waterloo Region. And so that called me home. And at that time, I lost someone very close to me, a close family member that rocked me. And as this feeling inside myself was calling to come home, I lost, quite honestly, the other half of my soul at that time. And so I came home and I had a big fire in my heart to start driving the change I was doing elsewhere, but do it in my own community. And so I made that change, and I came home, and I was really fortunate to have an opportunity to join YMCA of Three Rivers, which is takes care of all of Midwestern Ontario as their director of development. And I had a blank canvas. I was really given the opportunity to develop their major gift and corporate partnership strategy. I met some incredible people that were driving change so honestly and quietly across Waterloo Region, and wanting so deeply to support them in doing their good work. So I spent 5.5 years with YMCA of Three Rivers, and that actually introduced me to Gore Mutual. So I got to know them. They were very generous supporters of our homework help program, which was primarily for newcomer youth, providing them an opportunity to get a hot meal, speak to somebody that speaks their home language, help them with their homework. And Gore Mutual was so deeply connected into this work and such an honest and trust-based grantor. And then they brought Gabby Polanco-Sorto on board, and I knew that was a statement. And so I took a leap of faith. I understood that I thought making an impact, I had to do that in the nonprofit sector. And I felt a calling to come to Gore Mutual and work with Gabby. And so I was very fortunate and lucky enough that I was brought on to support the social impact strategy of Gore Mutual, really kind of utilizing that lived experience I had in the charitable sector to create real relationships in not only Waterloo Region, in the GTA and in Vancouver, but lead that change as someone who is an advocate for both Gore Mutual and the charitable sector. I have a really interesting role here because I support the charitable partners just as much as I support Gore. I have no voting power here, and that's a strategic move by Gabby and Gore Mutual to say, we've hired an advocate, a steward of charitable partnerships, because she is one, and we can have an opportunity to drive real change through this really kind of unique model that not many corporate partners have. So that's a little bit about my work and some of the things we've done over these last 3 years. I'm incredibly proud of, including being one of the first to provide monitoring and evaluation capacity building support for charitable partners based on what we know to be true of within the charitable sector. And then putting our opportunity to use funding to fund collaborations, to bring charitable partners together through actually funding collaborations. So much is talked about funding collaboration, but really it comes down to us as corporate partners leveraging our influence to really create that financial capacity for charity partners to collaborate, which then, of course, leads to greater social impact.
Awesome, awesome. What a powerful, experience that you went through in your journey. And, sometimes that's what happens through pain comes, it's a lived experience. And so you channeled that pain into the greater good of your community and how to, really step up and be that change that we are all seeking for. So congrats on that. Very, very good. Very awesome.
Yeah.
So okay, so I think you covered a lot there that really answers some of the questions that I had. So I'm going to go right down to the challenges and barriers. Like, what kind of challenges and barriers have you faced in your work, and how are you able to overcome those?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're living in really interesting times, aren't we, Matt? So for me, as much as there's so much noise in this fragmented ecosystem that is, trying to maintain our civil society, trying to be that small army of individuals that are creating this change, more often than not, we are grounded in those critical actions that are required today, those important pieces of the pie that drive systematic transformation. It's incremental and it happens in the moments of being present today, while also holding on to and gripping onto that horizon vision of what we are doing and why we are doing it. And we're doing this in a time where our charitable services are being stretched like never before. Everyday Canadians are feeling the pressures of the geopolitical climate as well as the economic realities that we are all in right now. And when I speak to individuals who are doing this work, both on the charity side, both advocacy side, corporate social impact professionals, we are finding it to be a time where we have to come together, right? These challenges and barriers are going to be solved faster at a time where we don't have time to wait if we come together. This collaboration is a big word and people use it in a lot of different meanings. But I grew up in Maryhill, Ontario. We were a village of 400. We came together. Collaboration wasn't a word I knew when I was a child, but that's what we did. And it was because that is how our community thrived. And when one was down, the other was there to support, right? And so we have to, I feel like we do better in civil society when we have that village mindset, which is just another word for collaboration. And these challenges and barriers we face are really the ones we create ourselves. And so by removing these barriers, by putting down competition, because it's not there anyways, we're creating that mindset. So the challenges and barriers we're facing right now are really breaking through those silos, and we're doing it. It's happening. It's happening all around me, and it's not just us here at Gore Mutual. It's SETC, it's Deus Institute, it's a Better Tent City, it's Waterloo Region Community Foundation, it's East Scarborough Storefront. It's all of these organizations coming together that are putting down our competition or charities thinking it's a scarcity and moving to an abundance of mindset, right? And so an example of that would be our climate and equity work. So Gore Mutual is a significant founding partner working with Social Innovation Canada and York University around these really intersecting big issues of climate and equity. And so what we're doing is we're going to various places and urban environments and talking to those with lived experience who are leading change around these climate and equity issues. And what we're seeing is something incredible. We're seeing people come together, funders, corporate partners, charity partners, municipal government leaders, coming together and really sitting at a table where everyone is an equal. And that's removing barriers in itself. And it's incremental steps. It's conversation after conversation. And so I don't like to, I see challenges as opportunities, and the opportunities are happening on the daily basis because of the community of, because of that village mindset and that village we have built around us. And Setsi is a part of that.
That's it. I love that. You know, in Africa, there's a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. So that's in everything. If you were to turn that child into, a community organization, like, a challenge that will help to build community, to raise it, to nurse it, to nourish it,
Yes,
to grow it into, something so amazing that it benefits everyone. You know what I
yes,
mean? So
absolutely.
that is so true. I love that. I love that. So tell us, what key priorities are you working on, or what would you like to amplify at this time?
Yes, yes. When we were working with this climate and equity work, I was hearing a lot of tension coming from the charitable partners we were working with around this collaboration situation. Everyone knows collaboration is key and it's important, but you have the same pocket of funding available with more charitable partners coming at that. And then we tell our charitable partners, you need to collaborate. When in fact, we're not asking, how can we help? How can we do this together? And from my experience being a corporate fund developer in the nonprofit space, it is actually the charitable sector itself that drives competition. And I've had great conversations with Bruce McDonald about this and other leaders in the nonprofit, advocacy space. It's really understanding we have to stop telling ourselves the story of scarcity, right? It's that abundance piece. And by corporate partners taking a leading role, it's not the way forward, it's a way forward to say, here is a stream of funding, and this stream of funding is available to those who are partnering together, collaborating with one another, interested in partnering together. So we require seed funding, and really having that opportunity to say, we're going to take a chance on this. We're going to take a chance on what it means to have true trust-based philanthropy and give funding at a seed level to see what happens when these charitable partners who have never collaborated before come together and do this work. And one example that has shined through with Gore Mutual Foundation funding 5 collaborations in the climate and equity space is East Scarborough Storefront. So East Scarborough Storefront, Kingston, Galloway, Orton Parkway, leading really great work is Sahar. If you haven't met Sahar, she's an incredible individual. And having an opportunity for Sahar and her team at East Scarborough Storefront work with Catalyst Circle to say, what are we going to do in Kingston Orton Parkway if there's an extreme heat dome? What are we going to do? What are we going to prepare for? Instead of it being a bystander impact of who's going to take care of those that are in apartments or dwellings that are too hot and we don't know that they can't get out, or what are we going to do when first responders need their child taken care of so they can do those 24-hour shifts to take care of everybody. So what we did is we partnered with them, provided some seed funding for them to create a blueprint using a connected communities approach. So everyone in East Scarborough, supported by Sahar, coming together to create a blueprint of how we're going to prepare, how we're going to adapt and respond and overcome when the next climate disaster or climate crisis strikes our community. This is powerful work. This is powerful work that Sahar is leading because she knows the community needs it. And what can we learn and what can we glean from this is an opportunity to say these collaborations lead to this great work, and how can we create these bubbles where what's happening in East Scarborough can happen in Waterloo region, can happen in Lower Mainland Vancouver, and be replicated and replicated. So that's one. And the next is this pilot that I'm so thrilled about, and something that I saw firsthand when I was in the charitable sector, and that is the monitoring and evaluation requirements that a lot of corporate funders have with their charitable partners. So I give you $25,000 or you give me $25,000, but you don't really know what my requirements are while receiving that $25,000 or vice versa, because that's not shared with you in advance. And charitable organizations are so excited to gain this funding that these conversations are not being had beforehand. Then 6 months down the road, you or me hand each other, a list of these monitoring and evaluation expectations that your organization potentially is not set up for, or mine isn't. And now we are just ad hoc working on something that we're not prepared to do without any support coming from those corporate partners financially, or capacity building support to support the people inside the organization. So Gore Mutual Foundation acknowledged this, and with Gabby's leadership and me working on this, we piloted this opportunity where if we're going to require monitoring and evaluation from our charitable partners, that is shared with them prior to signing of any grant agreement. It is aligned to their mission and what their mission priorities are, not Gore Mutual's. That's a paradigm shift that I hope vibrates through this sector, because it's not about us and our goals. It's about supporting and influencing charity partners to monitor and evaluate the impact of our partnership to achieve your mission priorities. And in addition to that, we're going to provide monitoring and evaluation capacity building resourcing, support, financial capacity for you to do that work. Every charitable partner I've talked to about this pilot, all the charitable partners who are participating in this pilot, are excited about this opportunity for us to really change the paradigm here and what that could mean for charitable organizations. I spoke to Chuck at Tamarack Institute, and so often monitoring evaluation is seen as this acute, how many lives have you touched right now? Real impact for our charitable partners might be 2 years down the road. And potentially we need to think about how ethically we're finding this information out and the relationships that are required to really get down to the impact that's being made and how we're going to measure that together. So some really exciting work that we're leading right now, and that is not going anywhere. And I look forward to seeing it through in the next couple of years.
That's it. This is what it's all about. I always say we are pieces to the puzzle, to the grand puzzle, and we know that we won't see that level ultimate, success, the overall success in this, in this line of work that we are doing. But when we play that key pivotal puzzle piece, it is for the next generation, because we are eventually going to be passing the baton, right? We have our Gen Zs, and they are no nonsense. They expect us to be accountable for the works and the actions that we are doing in this time, so that they be able to carry it on. So I feel and I hear the passion in your voice, and that's what it's all about, And again, we appreciate that so much. So let me ask you this question: how do you feel about the future of social impact in Canada overall?
Mm. Again, I mean, it's hard to not feel inspired and positive when you're surrounded by so many incredible people leading this work against a lot of adversity. And in my own life, adversity is what brings our drive and fire forward. And it's not that the issues at hand are not serious. It's not that there are a lot of people hurting in our community that I say, I'm positive. But having that mindset of abundance has always steered me in the right direction. I grew up, like I said, in Maryhill. I grew up my mother was a single teenage mother, and my grandmother raised both my mother and I was born with a mindset of abundance when there was no food in the fridge. And the opportunities that taught me where that you are positive, and with your mindset and with your values and how good you feel about what it is that this us together means, what our family is and what we can do together, is exactly how I feel about social impact in Canada. When you look at yourselves, Victor, Vinod, people like Manuel Reimer, when you think about Nadine Green, when you think about Camara Chambers, like, how could I not be positive right now when there are people like that who are just as, I want to say, stubborn as me, that the road we are on right now is the right one. Now I say that, and I know every day there's always something that's stretching. There's always that stretch again, as I mentioned, around being grounded in those constant incremental actions required today. And with the stretch of where we're going, I feel stretched right now. I feel a lot of us are stretched right now. How could you not? When you're looking around the world, climate has no borders, and we're seeing climate crisis. We're seeing polycrises. But if we look back from the beginning of time, when there's been great adversity that we've all had to face together as a community, as that village mindset, we always come together. We always see it through. So I think for us, capacity building is key. The more and more we can have SETC and Future of Good and other leaders and Imagine Canada really start dialing in to how important it is for us to support the people within the social impact space so they can do their good work, the more we're going to be able to achieve that ambition we all share for the future. It's not about those acute needs only. It's about driving the systematic transformation that needs to happen. And it's through capacity building. It's through supporting the people doing the work, not just the work itself. And so I do think that plays a big role in the work we have ahead of us. And I do feel confident we have the right leaders to really shepherd that forward for all of us.
Exactly. You stated some powerful players there, and we know that they we're those are those pieces of puzzles I was telling you about coming together, because collaboration is the key to social change. Like, that's just how it is, right? We have our solidarity working group that meeting that we do. Um, and you can see it. You can see it. I don't know if you've ever been to our solidarity working group meetings yet, but we will definitely hand out an invite. So, don't worry about that. But you'll see it. You'll see it for yourself. I'll save it, and you'll see just the the magical union that happens. Like, deals are being made, collaboration like you wouldn't believe are being made on an awesome, powerful umbrella. So this has been such a inspiring interview, Chantelle. We really appreciate you so much. I think the last question I have for you is, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action? Because you really covered a lot of the questions. Like, I was going to ask you, what is your ultimate goal? What does success look like to you? If you want to answer, please do. I heard it already. And then if you can end up like your closing thoughts and calls to actions at this time.
Thank you, Maud. Uh, my ultimate goal. Wow, that's a big question. I mean, for me, within, putting my hat of the role that I wear here at Gore, it's creating a vibration of impact, right? There's a gravity that invites people in to make the changes that they see are happening, right? And so it can be small, it can be incremental, but what we're trying to do here is really bring people in that share our values, share this ambition for the future, and create that change that we may not see. We may not see it, but I know that future generations will. I don't have to see it myself. I just want it to be felt. And so that's my goal with the role that I have here at Gore, and will continue in my career. And personally, it's to make my mother's sacrifices, my grandmother's sacrifices realized in this lifetime, that that the belief that's been shared in me is going to make an impact in my hometown, which hopefully is going to make an impact elsewhere. So really, that's what it is there. And then closing remarks, calls to actions. Say hello to your neighbors, get to know your neighbors. The work that we're doing in our climate and equity lab really comes down to social connection. And for so many of us, I mean, in my community, my neighbors, I know them all by name, and we have that block parent community mindset that I was raised with. And I feel like in the larger communities that we live in, we've lost that. And I do think that it's as simple as knowing your neighbors to be prepared against a climate disaster or to build those social connections that are really important to the fabric of civil society. And so go check on your neighbors, go say hello, and then just do the right thing when no one's looking. It's always benefited me, and that's what I guess I would say to everybody as my call to action.
Awesome, Chantel. I definitely will amplify that what you said. That is so key, and that's what we don't do anymore. You know, back in the boomer days, it was normal. You know, back in our, hey, you know, borrow a cup of sugar, that kind of stuff. Hey, check on, you know, is he okay? Did he eat? Is he hungry? You know, and you see these things manifesting like Meals on Wheels. Just things start manifesting in those times because that was that energy back then. And I do hope that it does come back around. I do see little spurts of it, and I am grateful for the small, you know, but we are those battery packs that will amplify it and say, hey, we got to stick to that because we are still humans, whether we're boomers, Gen Z, Gen X, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all human beings and we need at least the basics of our lives to be fulfilled, you know, food, clothing, shelter. And that's what community is all about. So, Chantel, we thank you so much for this. We really, really appreciate you. You are a phenomenal leader in this. And this is definitely not a goodbye. This is a see you later. We definitely be collaborating more. And again, on behalf of SETSI, we thank you for your leadership today.
Thank you too. I really appreciated this opportunity, and I'll see you soon.
Definitely. So we will end the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also acknowledge our ancestors. We acknowledge all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So Chantel, this we will see you later. Thank you so much again. All right.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thanks again.
Yes, you too. Bye
Bye.
bye.